use a cooperative approach. Rather than the first interaction you have with the code officer when you live in Lakewood is some guy writes you up with a big expensive fine, instead that person comes to your door and says, would you, homeowner, come outside and look at your neighborhood and look at your yard. Can you please help me to make this a better city? Do it cooperatively and then put in it.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson.
For myself, as private detective, I don't think it's too difficult to deal with. Only one thing we need communication. Most of the people, they don't even know, and especially in my district, they don't even know when you tell them about the commission, they say, who is it? They don't know. In order to get a result with that, we need to stay once again in communication. Talk to people, not only say, okay, you cannot do this, you cannot do that. You in the office, I mean, even you, I know, maybe you can say, okay, we do not pay enough to do this, we do not, no. However, if you accept it, you need to make it happen. And then talk to your fellow commission, have a budget, deal with it. Make sure people understand you. Make sure neighbors know the unity. They know each of it. I mean, when you're coming out, take that person is about a new system. You know? So it's not too difficult to deal with. We can do it. But only one thing we need to do, just stay in communication with each other, respect each other. Then that's the best way. If I become the city commissioner, we will work with all of people and to make sure that stay in communication with them. Just to not only stay at the office and then after that and then you go where nobody's seeing you. You need to always visible to make sure that people can, you know, and then send people a letter, talk to them. When they call you, all they make sure to do the phone call to them. Because they have a question, but you never answer to them. So that's the point.
Thank you, Mr. Joseph. Mr. Howard.
So, excuse me, so where does one begin with code? It comes up repeatedly when I'm talking to folks, going door to door. Let's start with public safety. So, in December, I took a ride along with Captain Bear. I wanted to see what our law enforcement officers experience on a day-to-day basis as they're trying to keep us safe. And at one point throughout the ride along, we passed a line of junked inoperable vehicles. And these vehicles had already been red tagged by PBSO. And while PBSO has marked these vehicles to be towed, PBSO can't tow them unless they're an imminent danger to the public or unless they're obstructing the right-of-way. So they depend on code enforcement to finish the job. And so it was then that I learned that PBSO red tags 20 to 30 vehicles every single day, and code enforcement is dropping the ball. They're not following up with these vehicles. And I'm not going to get into broken windows policing theory here, but I do believe that these junked inoperable vehicles send an inviting message to the criminal element. They let people know that disorder is the norm. They let people know that this community has no pride and that you can take advantage of it. So code enforcement absolutely must take care of issues like this. And so what I'm advocating is that we completely reorganize the department so that code enforcement is placing the highest priority on communications that it is receiving from law enforcement. And that jives with the stated mission of code enforcement, which is to improve the safety, health, and welfare of individuals living within the jurisdiction. The other thing is that if you speak to business owners, what they will tell you is that code is burdening them in a way that does not create value. And that again goes to my other fundamental point about small business investment. We can't have a situation where code is antagonizing our business owners, right? That gets around. And it makes it hard for people to want to make that investment in Lake Worth. And so those are some things that I'm going to focus on as regards code. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ricardo. Are there any rebuttals? Okay. Do you want 1 minute rebuttal? Mr. Joseph.
I think my PBSO do a very good job. I'm always around them. Most of the time they ask me, they say, Mr. Joseph, are you getting paid to do this? You know why? Because it's my job. I have to make sure they do what they're supposed to do. So, when you call them, they're always there. They're always been there on time. Only one thing we miss, all city commission, they need to follow up to make sure to stay on touch with them. Don't only just employ somebody, just pay somebody to do the work and you let them go by themselves. And then people keep calling the office, say, okay, we don't get that, we don't get that. So where are you? Code enforcement and the city officials is the best, they do a better job, like I said. Because I'm always around them. They do what they're supposed to do, only one thing we need. We need to make sure that you follow them to see what they're doing.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. I'm going to read the question as it is on the card. I don't think that any one person is going to resolve the whole issue. The question is, how are you going to resolve the sober home rehab house dilemma? Begin with Mr. Josephs, please.
So that there is what we need more structure. We need to have more structure to monitoring, to have.
Excuse me? Yes, I can. How are you going to resolve the sober home rehab house dilemma? Yeah, please start time again.
Okay, we need more structure, more regulation, and then we need to have something like monitoring system to make sure, more surveillance, to make sure they do what they're supposed to do in the city. Monitoring them, then follow what they're doing to make sure that people have the fair treatment. But we need to make sure to everybody in the city, not all of the sober homes, but some of them, they all have problems. We need to monitor them to make sure, to follow them, to have something in position to make sure that they do what they're supposed to do.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Joseph. Just a little reminder, I appreciate you talking to me, but be a little, for all of you, be a little closer to the microphone, and then everybody can hear you nice and clear. Mr. Harvey.
So I really feel for people who moved here, who bought what they thought was going to be their forever home, and then their dream turns into a nightmare because it turns out that they're living next to a sober home. I have done my best to position myself so that, when I'm elected, I can make sure that the commission is not only getting tough on sober homes, but smart on sober homes. So what does that look like? First of all, obviously the individuals who live in sober homes are members of what are called a protected class under the ADA and also under the Fair Housing Act. And so there's very little that law enforcement can do. But code enforcement should be the mechanism that we use to make sure that sober homes aren't the scourge to our city that they are. So that means that code enforcement has to investigate issues insofar as they know that they exist. And that means code enforcement has to be plugged in to what PBSO knows and also what Palm Beach Fire Rescue knows. All right, there's something called reasonable accommodations. If there are 7 guys living in a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house, all right, that's something that code enforcement does not have to abide by if we have reasonable accommodation ordinances on our books. The other thing is that if there are 3 overdoses occurring at one location and Palm Beach Fire Rescue knows about it, then code enforcement should know about it as well, so that they can go there and investigate the situation from a code enforcement perspective without violating the civil rights of the individuals involved. Now, the last thing is this. All right, we can do what's called declaring a zoning in progress. So what it means is that we essentially get to declare a moratorium on any group homes while we study the issue and craft new regulations around the group home situation, and that gives us the opportunity to press the pause button and stop the bleeding with sober homes here, and that's something that I advocate for. It's not violating the law, it's what I call aggressive compliance. We can interpret the law in a way that favors us and in a way that helps the city do the best by its residents. Thank you.
Commissioner McVoy.
I appreciate Mr. Hardy's suggestions that we have communication between the obvious folks, PDSO, the EMTs with the fire department, and our code enforcement. I started those meetings internally about 8 months ago. We've been doing them. It's very challenging, as Mr. Hardy alluded to. There are very strong federal law things that restrict what we can do. Many people know that Boca Raton was sued at about $5 million because they pushed the edge. People are watching what has been done in Boynton, where they've said we're going to declare a study period and have a moratorium for the duration of that study period. They're watching to see whether that's going to hold up legally. I'm all for doing it. My question would be, why has our commission not asked for that study long ago, and why have they not led to doing a moratorium on it? But
You're on it.
they only give me one vote. But
I haven't heard you.
to the extent that I can do things that are legal behind the scenes, I do that, and have been doing that for over a year. With the attorneys, with the different departments. Some of that, I think, is moving. The sense that I'm getting is that there's a little bit, I'm more optimistic, because I get the calls from residents, not for ones that move here new, but people who've been here 30 years and are heartbroken to be leaving because it's over homes. My feeling is that with what the task force is doing, that the word is getting out at the state and federal level that we really need the relief, we need help, that we can't do it under the current legal climate. And then I push on our people, push as hard as you can push in terms of keeping information flowing between the different parts. Do it in a way that protects us from lawsuits, but do it. I'm not going to promise you anything, but I think we are moving in the right direction.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner McVoy. Mr. Ryder, your rebuttal.
So I would just like to point out, as many people in the audience did, that my opponent, the incumbent, is on the commission. And so he has had an opportunity to advocate for the things that he is advocating for tonight. And let's not be a defeatist and say that I have one vote on the commission. You know, my opponent, the incumbent, has had no problem taking unpopular stances, and he's been the sole no vote on many issues, and this is an opportunity for him to be the sole no vote again. There's one other thing that I'd like to point out. When he asks, for example, why the commission hasn't been more aggressive on this issue in the past, it's because it has only been recently that HUD, along with the Department of Justice, came out with a joint statement, and this was in late August, that affirmed the right of localities to regulate group homes. And so this is an issue where people have been thinking creatively about this issue.
That's what I told you earlier. Don't vote for somebody because of his your friend or something. Don't keep voting somebody. In every election, don't keep voting somebody that is your friend. It's been there. It's the same thing that when I go to my church, and then I see people there for 20 years, they never done anything. And you just come to the church, you are helping the pastor, do this, do that, and then that person says that because they don't have something, they want to make them do at the house, they don't want to do it, just go to church. Don't think that. Don't vote somebody because it's your friend. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Justice. Any more rebuttals? Thank you. Next question. Are you involved in your neighborhood association? If so, how long? Ooh, that was a lot of conversation. Who started that one?
William just started.
Okay, Mr. Hart.
So I am involved in my neighborhood association, which is Tropical Ridge. I was recently elected treasurer there. We got some Tropical Ridge folks here. I was recently elected the treasurer of my neighborhood association. We're small, but we have a lot of people who are committed and who really care. And I'm looking forward to the raft race this year in July. We're going to win that thing. We're going to win that thing.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. Commissioner McVoy.
Well, I obviously don't hold an office in the neighborhood association. That I don't think any commissioner, well, actually, there's somebody running who is an officer of an organization. But I do go to the commission meeting, to neighborhood association meetings, and I'm in touch with the president of the neighborhood association meeting. So, and I meet with people in my neighborhood regularly and contact them. So neighborhood association meetings are very helpful as a starting point. They're not necessarily the end point, but they're a good starting point for getting to hear concerns from people. It's one of the many ways that I use to try and make sure that I hear what people are concerned about. The other one is very simple. My business cards, since I started, have had my cell phone as the direct number on my cards. And I get calls daily from people with me. That's how I stay in touch with what people are doing.
Thank you, Commissioner McVoy. Mr. Joseph.
I don't work especially in one neighborhood association, but I work in all the city since the time I'm here. As my witness, former commissioner with Allo, we clean up everywhere, feeding homeless. That's the key in feeding people. Spend your own resources to help people out. People keep calling you every day. So, okay, William, I need to go somewhere. Drop in me. I'll be there. People are out of work. They don't have where to come home. I'll be there. It's not only working on one neighborhood association and then you do the job, but I do all the job that most people are supposed to do, who get paid to do it. Because I'm always out there to do what I'm supposed to do, what somebody is supposed to do. That's what I do it for them.
Mr. Justice, are there any rebuttals to the neighborhood association question? No? Thank you. Next question. What kind of environmentally friendly ordinances would you like to present for consideration? Commissioner McVoy.
Our location is right on the coast. We are part of South Florida that's recognized nationally and internationally for its efforts on climate change and sea level rise. We're a little bit behind some other cities because we're slightly higher, but the changes are coming and they're coming fast. If you look on Zillow, which is a real estate organization, you will see that Zillow is taking climate change in South Florida very seriously. They talked about 900,000 homes that will be at risk in not all that long. So some of the things that I think we need to be doing is insisting that all of our infrastructure work adopts a sea level rise scenario, whatever one you want to adopt, the Corps of Engineers, NOAA, whoever it is you want to adopt it formally and build that formally into all of our planning. So we are not building infrastructure that isn't planning for that. On the other side of it, I think we need to do our part. And we have an opportunity that a lot of cities don't have. We have our own utility. So we can think about how we generate electricity and we can think about how we do conservation. We've made some excellent starts, LED lights, 2 megawatts of solar. Conservation, we used to be good, we got rid of that. That was a big mistake. That's part of why we have a reputation for having the most expensive electric, because we haven't done our homework on helping people with the size of their bills. So I would put in place a conservation program, I would put in place a commitment to hard targets and a timeline for renewable energy. I'm already working with a federal program, have been working in cooperation with other communities in South Florida and the county on a federal program to help upgrade our requirements for solar, rooftop solar. So that we're...
Thank you, Commissioner McVoy. I take everybody in an order. I don't know if you noticed, Mr. Joseph.
It's one thing we can do. Not only coming today, so okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and being there for many years, and nothing you never been done anything. So I myself, since my first time went, I'm only made contact to other city, to other people. They only in touch with us to make sure that to do what we're supposed to do, to help the city. That's what I'm here for. I'm not only here just today just to tell you, okay, I'm going to do something to do that. No. By myself, I cannot do it. But with your support, remember guys, you have power. Why don't you use it? Don't let the people sit down and they tell you, when you call them, they're not answering the phone. When you email, you don't have any email back. Who put them in power? Who put them there? For who they're waiting for? They're waiting for you. When you call me, and then I'm ignoring your phone call. I don't want to return your call. What is that? That's the biggest one that we have in the city. I walk all over around. Only one thing people keep telling me, Mr. William, I would like to vote for you, but when I call you, you're not going to answer the phone. You're not going to return my phone call. But not only when your friend call you answer the phone. You make your best to be there for everybody. I've been in the city meeting so many times. So what is it? People keep fighting. It's a shame of the city. Ask myself, I don't want for office. It's my first time running. When I see those things going on, about my kids are going over. That's why we don't have the city. Now, we need a new leadership. Not only working with the whole people who've been there in the office, not done anything. We need a new leadership right now. Now, if I become a city commissioner, I'm going to make sure to give you power back. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
As a native Floridian, sea level rise is something that's of great concern to me. I went to school at the University of Miami, and I'm sure we've seen some of the news reports about the flooding down in Miami, and I don't want to see that happen here. So we have to make sure that we do our part. Unfortunately, as one city of 38,000 that is 7 square miles, there's not much that we can do by ourselves to solve the problem, but of course we can take baby steps, and this is something that the Commission has had an opportunity to do. I applaud the current Commissioner for his environmental bent on the Commission, but you've got to pick the low-hanging fruit. Let's take, for example, the fact that our golf course right here, which is located along the water, still uses Roundup. Right? This is something that we can change immediately. This is something that Commissioner Morris had 6 years to change. It's going into our water source here, and look, we have to do the little things, and these are the things that have been available to us the entire time. So I'm interested in making environmentally friendly ordinances. We've got 2 megawatts of solar power down the south side of town. We're going to continue to do progressive things here, and that's the way we should do it in Lake Worth.
Are there any rebuttals to the question? None. Okay. Thank you. Next question. If elected commissioner, how quickly would you submit an approval for having chickens at residence?
No.
Sorry. Just wanted to break things up a little bit. This is for Commissioner Maxwell. Okay, the real question. Do you feel it appropriate to approve a large gas station at North 8th Street and 10th Avenue North? I believe it's Mr. Josephs.
I don't want to answer that question myself. It's not depending on me. That's what this election is about. It's about people. It's about the reason I'm living in the city. If they told me yes to do so, I will do it. But according to my investigation, many people that I've seen, they told me they don't want that. But it's still a few people. I'm still working on it to make sure that if I have more, say yes they want it, I will do so. But remember, you don't work for you, you work for them. If they don't want something, you cannot do it. That's what I'm here for. To follow people, to listen to people. I'm a student. I'm here to listen to you, to learn. Remember, I just said that. People have power. We don't have power. If they say yes, they want it, I'll definitely sign it. Not only me, with my fellow commissioner. But we have to sit down and talk about it, think about it, see how it's going to work. If 10 people say yes, 20 people say no, that's it. We're not going to do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Joseph. Mr. Hartman.
So this is an issue that's near and dear to me. Kathy has been involved in this from day one. I can tell you that I do not believe that putting a 16-pump mega gas station on the corner of 10th Avenue and A Street, which is already choked with crime, I don't think that's the most responsible use for that land. And I'm all for attracting investment to Lake Worth, but it has to be in a thoughtful and measured way. So I mentioned the traffic concerns, but let's talk also about the fact that there are 2 schools in that area. And kids are walking to and from school at exactly the same time that people are most apt to pull off of the highway and to get gas at what would be a mega gas station there. And so for that reason alone, I have to be against it. But in addition to that, this project represents a challenge to the entire zoning map. That area is zoned for mixed use, low intensity. And so that's really important, because if what we're saying is that we can make an exception here, well, why can't we make it elsewhere? And so the question that I would ask other people within the city is, are you next? Would you like a 16-pump mega gas station in your neighborhood because someone wants to put one there? I don't think so. So I would be 100% dead set against it, and I have been from day one, and I will continue to be when I'm elected on March 14th.
Thank you, Mr. Hartman. Commissioner McVoy.
From the minute I heard about it, am absolutely opposed to it. I was appalled that it even made any headway with developers talking to commissioners, and that the different commissioners didn't immediately inform the public and find out whether people wanted it. The answer is absolutely no. That is it for all sorts of reasons. It's right in the middle of a residential neighborhood. There's no reason to take up a whole city block for a gas station. Mr. Omari points out a very good concern, that if you make an exception in that zoning, that will weaken that zoning all along 10th, all along 6th, and in fact through part of downtown. Obviously we don't want to do that. Nobody in this community will support that. Commissioners can vote it to happen, but that's not the biggest danger. The biggest danger is that the only thing stopping that from happening in our community is 3 commissioners not voting against it. They can vote it in, and not even by changing the zoning. If they can persuade themselves that they can call this something other than a gas station because it sells food and it's known for its restaurants and all that sort of stuff, that is a legal use in that. So then they would get by without even having changed the zoning. So my call to you would be to make sure that you